Breaking news in the murder of a 5-year-old girl. Autopsy results just released paint a horrific picture. It's a story we'd followed for you of little Nevaeh Buchanan. She might have been buried alive. Her little body, as we told you before, we reported, was found encased in cement near a river in southeastern Michigan. Sad to say, no one's been arrested here. Whoever's responsible, we want this sick person put to justice. Nevaeh suffocated after inhaling dirt. Do that to an innocent child. Joining me to talk about it, welcome back, HLN law enforcement analyst Mike Brooks. And on the phone, Amber Hunt, reporter for the Detroit Free Press. Amber, let's start with you. Is that the brutal update we're talking about here? Could she have been buried alive, Amber?
As we reported on Freak.com, that's one of two possibilities. Either she was buried alive, or she could possibly have had her face pushed into the ground where she would have been forced to inhale dirt. It's hard to know one way or the other which way it happened.
Now, has the entire autopsy report come out, Amber? Is that where you're getting this information?
Not the entire report. The entire report hasn't come out, but it is a lot of the information is available because it's public record at this point.
Okay.
So we are still waiting on some details. We're also waiting on some more forensic testing through the Michigan State Police, so there will be more developments.
When you talk about developments, the development we want are some arrests made. Are they any closer to that? What do we know, Amber?
I know that the Monroe County Sheriff's Department is being very careful in what they're releasing. They're trying to make sure that they're cautious in their approach. This is a very important investigation, so I know they're keeping their cards close to their vest. There were a couple of early people mentioned as possible persons of interest, but since then we haven't heard anything in terms of arrest.
Right, and they are, and correct me if I'm wrong, Amber, as we go back over this, these were sex offenders who were too close to Nevaeh Buchanan. George Kennedy, right, is one of them?
That's one of the men, yes, and you know, they have not been accused of anything directly in this case. They were not supposed to have contact with anybody with children, however, and so both of them are now back in prison for violating the conditions of their parole.
Okay, let's bring in Mike Brooks, HLN law enforcement analyst. Mike, as we, sad to say, it's horrific to even think about, but when you talk about what kind of physical evidence do you think has been obtained? Because I mean, we talked about there was a beer can nearby, but yet this is near water. Could some of that evidence have been washed away?
You know, Mike, it could have been, you know, but I was encouraged by the beer can because it was right there by the scene. You know, could it have possibly been someone who was involved in this? Could they have gotten any fingerprint evidence, DNA, anything at all? You know, apparently not so far, at least not to link them to Kennedy and, you know, and that other ne'er-do-well who was involved in this. But again, no suspects right now, and it's just, I'm not. They're not going to call it a cold case, you know, but as it goes along, the longer it goes, you know, the more pessimistic I get.
Yeah. Well, let me bring you back, Amber. Do you feel, Amber, from your reporting on this, do you think an arrest is coming, or is it just too tough to say right now?
It's tough to say. I know they're working very hard on it. We've reported today that that one of the neighbors has had police in his house. There have been carpet fibers snipped to compare to evidence perhaps pulled from Nevaeh's body. So I know that they're working very diligently. This is not a typical crime for a community like Monroe. It's a small community. It doesn't have a lot of crime like this. So hopefully we'll have an arrest soon, but I know they're taking their time to make sure they do it right.
Yeah. You know, when you talk about that, we see a picture of Nevaeh next to her bike. From what we know, she was riding her scooter near her home in her neighborhood, and she was taken away and, as we found, killed in a brutal fashion. Mike, from what you're seeing here, do you think that the physical evidence is there from that crime scene to possibly get an arrest here sometime soon?
You know, just like she said, they're holding everything their cards very close to the vest. I believe that they probably do have some kind of evidence, either from the scene, maybe from her body, her clothes, maybe some touch DNA, which is a great technology now. You can just get just pieces of skin, you know, just from your hand if you touch the clothing. Maybe they have some of that. They're not saying at all. But, you know, and now I'm encouraged that they're still out there looking for hairs, fibers, anything at all that they can do to link, you know, maybe link these two guys or someone else, another sex offender or anyone, back to this case.
Yeah, let's delve into that just a little bit, Amber, before we let you go. So you're saying carpet fibers were taken from a neighbor's house?
Right, one of the last places Nevaeh was known to have played. We were told today by that neighbor that investigators have come in, snipped some of the fibers, and told them it was for a comparison's sake. And, and that type of evidence, it might be small, but it can be certainly crucial in these sorts of investigations.
Absolutely. absolutely.
Hey, Amber, last one real quick. What about Nevaeh's mom, Jennifer Buchanan? Has she been, what has been her actions as of late?
Well, last we reported, which was today, I understand that some of her family members aren't sure where she is. She hasn't been seen for a few days. She has been careful not, after the body was discovered, we haven't heard from her too much as members of the media, which you can understand in either direction, but we don't know where she is right now.
Okay. Amber, we appreciate it. Hopefully, as you said, and Mike as well, we'll find an arrest soon. Amber Hunt, Detroit Free Press, Mike Brooks, senior law enforcement analyst, HLN law enforcement analyst. Mike, thank you as well.